Hello and welcome to everybody to Digitale Buchtage Schweiz, the Swiss digital book fair of 2021, the ones that have just connected themselves for the first time. I am Julia Ann Stüssi, Chief of Press at Nord-Süd Verlag, and I'm very happy to guide you through our event Buchmarkt Spain, Foreign Rights Between Spain and Switzerland today. Since hopefully some of our public will be connected from Spain, all our talks today will be in English. I hope that's fine for everybody. Before we head right into the subject matter with our expert speakers from Spain and Switzerland, let me remind you of our matchmaking that accompany this event. For those who don't know yet, we are organizing one-to-one meetings between Swiss and Spanish publishers in order to, of course, enhance our networks and get to know each other, but ultimately also to promote foreign rights exchange. These meetings will be coordinated by us, and they will take place from tomorrow on until the end of the month of September. And actually, we've received quite a bit of applications already. If you're interested in joining, it's not too late though. Please just write us an email to promotion@sbvv.ch. That's promotion spelled as in English, French or German with T, promotion@sbvv.ch. But now back to our program of today. Let me give you a short summary of what to expect. The idea of organizing this event today has obviously been inspired by Spain being the guest of honor at Frankfurt 2022. And therefore, I'm very happy that we will hear Elvira Marco from Spain first. Elvira is the project director for Spain's participation as a guest of honor in the Frankfurt Book Fair in 2022. And obviously, therefore, first she will give us an introduction into what their plans are for next year in Frankfurt and their logo and their whole idea behind it. Then she will share some very important facts and figures on the Spanish book market, and she will present some grants and subsidies that are available for Swiss publishers that want to translate Spanish books. So that can be very interesting. Now, I have to tell you that precisely right now in this very moment, Elvira unfortunately is in an important meeting in Frankfurt, so she cannot be with us, but she was very kind to record a video message that we will play right after my introduction. After Elvira's presentation, we will come to the Swiss side of the talk, and we have some Swiss experts on different topics. Let me just give you an overview. First, we will hear Olivier Babel from Livre Suisse and Miriam Lang from SPVV, from the Swiss Bookseller and Publisher Association. And both of them will give an overview over the Swiss market, the French and the German-speaking part. After that, I'm very happy that we have with us Raina Gehrig. She is the relatively new director of the Department of Literature at Pro Helvetia, a very important foundation for funding Swiss culture in other countries. And she will be sharing insights about Swiss funding for literary translations that can be obviously very interesting for our Spanish friends connected. And last but not least, we originally had invited two representatives from Swiss publishing houses. Unfortunately, I have to excuse Susanne Bauknecht from Diogenes because of illness. In the last moment, she had to cancel. She sends her greetings. She's available for questions, but she cannot be here today. We still do have Luise Münzer from Nord-Süd Verlag. I'm very happy about that. And Luise will share, she's in the Foreign Rights Department, and she will share her knowledge on the topic. She will talk about her work and about why the Spanish market is of importance and of interest for her. Now, that is our complete program for today. I will disappear while the speakers take over and will be back in the end for a question round. So please write your questions on the side of your screen in the chat. They will be collected in the end. We have a chance to ask our speakers. Exactly. And if you have questions for our Spanish colleagues, actually, you can also ask the questions that you want us to pass on to them with your email, and then we will collect those questions and send it to Elvira and her team. And now I ask backstage to please start the presentation of Elvira Marco, and I wish you a very interesting hour.
Dear friends, I am very pleased to take part in Buchmarkt Spain, Foreign Rights meeting between Spain and Switzerland. In this short presentation, you will learn about the key objectives of Spain's Guest of Honor project for 2022 and some facts and figures about the Spanish publishing sector. This is an opportunity to discover Spain's literary scene and learn more about the support for translation, with specific grants for projects published in 2021 and 2022. We are very excited about Spain's Guest of Honor project for 2022 at the Frankfurt Book Fair. We aim to increase the knowledge about Spanish authors by promoting translations of their works in these 2 years up to the Frankfurt Book Fair 2022. This year, Spain has 2 very important events at the book fair. On Thursday, 21st October, at our press conference, Spain will present the official slogan and logo for next year, as well as the main lines of our Guest of Honor project. First, let's go to our image. The idea represented in the image and in the slogan, Spilling Creativity, describes the exciting moment of our literary and cultural scene. The splashes of color that exceed the limits of the S of Spanien represent our creativity and innovation, traveling beyond borders, across continents, into other languages, and for all audiences. And then, on the last day of the book fair, on Sunday, in the handover ceremony, we will receive the guest scroll from Canada 2020. This will be a very special moment for us, as we will then become officially the next Guest of Honor country. Regarding Spain's project, some of you may remember that we were Guest of Honor in 1991. 30 years later, we would like to showcase our literature and creative industries and bring to the international public the image of contemporary Spain. Being Guest of Honor is an opportunity to support our book industry by building international network for our publishers and agents. For this purpose, we have organized and participated in meetings between publishers and agents since 2019, just like the one you are taking part in today. This year, Spanish publishers have met online with their colleagues from Germany, France, Italy, the Netherlands, and now with Switzerland. This is an excellent opportunity not only to talk about translations from Spanish authors, but to create ties that go beyond 2022 and to help the Spanish audience get to know more about Swiss literature. Since July 2020, you have also available the site Books from Spain at the Frankfurt Rights platform. There, you will find 100 publishers and 500 titles available for licensing. Promoting our authors and literature is also one of our main objectives. Since 2019, the project has presented authors at the Frankfurt Book Fair and in our network of Cervantes Institutes, Spanish cultural centers, and literary festivals. In 2019, we brought 30 authors to the book fair. In 2020, 45 authors and publishers participated online. We also would like to create awareness of Spain's literary and creative scene, both in Spain and internationally. This year, we will participate with 7 authors and professionals from the book industry in a production that will be accessible from the website of the Frankfurt Book Fair as well as from our Spain Frankfurt 2022 site. And all these working with the book ecosystem in a project directed by the Spanish Ministry for Culture in close collaboration with the Spanish Association of Publishers and involving bookshops, translators, authors, libraries, distributors, and the Spanish cultural institutions, as well as those involved in the promotion of the Spanish language. And now let's have a look at the Spanish publishing market. The total publishing output in Spain in 2020 was more than 70,000 titles, with more than 800 publishers in our country. The first semester of 2021 has seen a growth in the domestic book market of 17%, compared with 2019 pre-COVID times. According to GfK consultants, they estimate that the Spanish book market will grow between 17 to 23% in 2021, with more than €1,000 million in book sales. In these first 6 months, more than 15,000 new titles have been published, compared to 10,000 in 2020 and even more than in 2019. The list of top 10 bestsellers show all literary genres, but there is a specific growth in comic and graphic novels. Online shopping has also grown due to COVID, from 23% in 2019 to 34% this year. Fortunately, bookshops have been strengthened during this period, adapting to changes in customer habits and also because of a strong solidarity movement from Spanish readers to support their neighborhood bookshops. We must bear in mind that bookshops were closed in Spain for 3 months in 2020, and in spite of this, they maintained their sales. Bibliodiversity is a term we use to describe the Spanish publishing sector, as we have several groups that are ranked among the biggest in the world, together with middle-sized and small publishers with a high degree of specialization and quality. Around 20% of books sold in Spain are translated from other languages, as the Spanish reader is very interested in other cultures. German is the third language in translation in our book market, whereas Spanish is the 7th language in translation in Germany, with an average of 100 titles published every year. Spanish, as you are aware, is a language we share with more than 500 million speakers on both sides of the Atlantic. That is why Latin American literature is also part of our project, representing authors that are Spanish nationals or Spanish residents. And 25% of books in Spain are published in one of our official languages. Obviously, this is not unique of Spain, as in Switzerland there are also several languages. So this is part of our project too, to showcase literature in Spanish, in Catalan and Basque and Galician. Regarding exports, our top markets for exports are the Latin American market, for obvious reasons, and the European market that has been growing steadily for the past years. Each of them represent around 40% of our exports, summing more than 400 million euro in 2019. And now, let's talk about translation, grants, and promotion support for Spanish titles. There are many programs supporting translation, both from the Ministry of Culture as from cultural institutes promoting translation from Spanish, Catalan, Basque, and Galician. The call from the Ministry for Culture for this year was 400,000 euro and is now in the resolution period. We have also created a specific program for Frankfurt 2022. The call is now open for 2021 until the 31st of December for books licensed from a Spanish publisher, and I really encourage you to apply. These grants are managed by Acción Cultural Española, the Spanish Agency for Culture, and support translation for works into German, English, French, Italian, and Dutch. Books must have been published previously in Spain by a Spanish publisher. There are also specific lines of support for illustrated works and anthologies. Remember, works can be translated from any of Spain's official languages. These two combined programs, the Ministry for Culture and ACE's program, have supported the translation of 476 titles since 2019. Of these, 70 were translated into German, and of these, 8 grants went to Swiss publishers. The total allocated funds for translation for the project have seen an increase in 30% since 2019, with an investment of 2 million euro. Fiction has been the most supported, with more than 300 titles, followed by poetry and non-fiction with 40 titles each, and then drama, children and young adult literature, and comic. In the Spain Frankfurt site, as well as in Acción Cultural Española's website, you will find further information about the grants and application procedure, and you can send us your questions about the application. In 2022, we will bring these works and author to Spain's pavilion at the Frankfurt Book Fair, so that the readers will get to know them personally. This will be also an opportunity for publishers to promote books and organize readings and other activities with writers. Be aware that Acción Cultural Española has also a program to help publishers in the promotion with specific grants that support travel expenses of authors. It is called PICE program, P-I-C-E, and these grants are open for application all year round. So I advise you to check in ACE's website. I would like to thank you all for taking part in these foreign rights meetings, where you will meet with Spanish colleagues and hopefully discover new titles for translation. And I hope to see you all in the Frankfurt Book Fair 2022 at the Spanish Pavilion.
Yes, hello everybody. Thanks to Elvira for this very interesting presentation of the market, the book market in Spain. I will talk you about. I will do a short presentation of the French-speaking market of the book. You should know that French-speaking Switzerland is the land of books. Great publishing companies have passed through here during the 20th century. For example, Les Éditions Rencontres, precursor of the paperback and giant of the European publishing, or La Guilde du Livre, which first published the classics with great illustrators or painters, and also introduced to French-speaking public most famous writers, as for example, Thomas Mann, Buzzati, or Hemingway. And you surely have heard about Albert Schira, who was one of the first publishers to use color illustrations and high-quality reproduction. Each one of them have brought some revolution in publishing industry. More recently, we can also mention Les Éditions de la Baconnière, L'Âge d'Homme, with its famous catalogue of nearly 4,000 titles, or the Bertil Galland Publishing House, which opened at French-speaking authors the way to Paris and international recognition. Sometimes French language publishing suffers from a lack of visibility because it's a minority in Switzerland, but also a minority in the French-speaking world. But the publishing industry, even if the times have changed, is very inventive and includes about 100 companies that pursue their work of creation, discovery, and translation with a high level of quality in its production. They do publish around 1,800 titles each year. Our professional association, Livre Suisse, groups something like 60 publishers active in all genres, and I propose to have a look at some of them. Since their beginning as a Swiss independent publisher in 1975, Les Éditions Zoé has added to their catalog innovative writers who create new worlds and strong atmospheres. The Domaine Français includes Francophone Swiss writers from the patrimoine as well as from the new generation who stimulate and enrich the discussion about contemporary literature. Among them, the best-selling titles are, for example, by Nicolas Bouvier, Le Dehors et le Dedans, and Agatha Christophe, L'Analphabète, which have been translated into more than 20 languages. And some promising young talents, such as Elisa Chua du Sapin, Bruno Pellegrino, Max Loeb, Haute-Seigne, among other ones. Another publisher is La Joie de Lire, founded in 1987 by Francine Bouchet. La Joie de Lire is a Swiss publishing house that publishes books for youth, with about 35 new books per year and a catalog of around 800 titles. This famous publisher is keen to defend contemporary creation through its 15 collections of illustrated books and novels. It recently received in Bologna the prize BOP Europe. La Joie de Lire is well known in the French-speaking and international publishing scene, thanks to the quality of the text and the images and a lot of creativity. Another publisher is named Les Éditions de l'Air, and they were founded in 1978 by Michel Moret. Today, they are based in Vevey and publish about 40 books per year, mainly in literature. The catalog includes most Swiss famous authors as C.F. Ramu, Jacques Chesset, Maurice Chappat, Alice Riva, and among other young talents, for example, Ivan Salamanca, Christophe Gaillard, and Shamsi Macaulay. One other important publisher is called Noir sur Blanc. Noir sur Blanc was founded in Montrichet in 1987 by Jan and Vera Michalski. This publishing company aims to build cultural bridges between countries in Europe and beyond. It introduces to French readers the literature of Poland, Russia, and other Middle European countries, as well as travel literature of other cultures and languages. Its catalog contains books by Olga Tokarczuk, who won the Nobel Prize in 2018, Joseph Chapsky, Slavomir Brozek, Guzel Yakina, Mikhail Shishkin, Oleg Pavlov, and many others. As I told you before, Les Éditions de la Baconnière have been founded in 1927 by Hermann Hauser and were a very important publishing house in the 20th century in Romandie. They are very famous for having published Les Cahiers du Rhône. Nowadays, it is still active in several literary fields as essays, novels, and art books. La Baconnière remains faithful to its history of high intellectual quality essays and refined prose. The vision of the world expressed in its catalogue is rich and varied and aims to observe the world through human sciences, imagination, and also poetry. The following publishers are also active in the field of fiction, as Bernard Campiche éditeur, Les Éditions de l'Âge d'Homme, BSN Press, Infolio, Elis Hélas, Héros Limite, Les Éditions des Sirtes. And now, let me go on to briefly introduce you some other interesting publishers who are outside the field of fiction, but not always too far, as you will hear. First of all, established in the year 2000, active in Lausanne and Geneva, the publishing company Art and Fiction is devoted to the conception, production, and circulation of artist books. Its catalog contains over 350 entries with a special focus on the writing practices of visual artists. Through several other collections, Art et Fiction also aims at documenting contemporary drawing in its various forms and at establishing a vivid dialogue between art and literature. They are currently exploring new editorial directions as photo books, artist books for children, or visual artist literary portraits. Another publisher is named Helvetic. Helvetic was founded in 2008. The first title was a game about Swiss citizenship inspired by a personal story. Today they publish books and games in all French and German-speaking countries in following genres: children's literature, comics and graphic novels, non-fiction for adults, like for travel, outdoor, food, essays, strategy for USA, UK in planning for late 2022, Helvetic Buy and Sell Rights. Other publishers. Since 1976, Les Éditions d'en bas explore the social field from the margins of history, politics, and society. They bring out singular and original voices of forgotten destinies and neglected themes. Since 2001, they have reinforced the field of publication on Swiss literature and translation. Éditions d'en bas is a founding member of the International Alliance of Independent Publishers, among others, for the promotion of bibliodiversity. Les Éditions Favre were established in the 70s in Lausanne as a generalist publishing house. Since then, they have published around 2,000 titles. Although they specialize in non-fiction, with collections devoted to essays, testimonies, practical guides, gastronomy, and art books, they also publish some novels by French-speaking authors. They do publish about 50 books each year. Founded in 1964 in Geneva, Slatkin is another important publisher in Switzerland. They are active in the following areas: general literature, philology, literary criticism, art books, essays, and so on. Over 400 authors, historians, poets, journalists, scientists, and artists work with Slatkin to promote and expand Swiss literature in the world. Slatkin has his own printing house and organizes also reprints of rare books. They publish over 60 titles per year. And finally, Les Presses Polytechniques Universitaires Romandes, PPUR, IPFL Press, is an academic press based at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology since 1980. It includes 3 different imprints: IPFL Press, which is quite famous for the academic publications, both in French and in English; Quanto, for the narrative science books, or let's say popular sciences, mainly translation from the English of authors such as Sean Carroll, Stephen Strogatz, or Walter Isaacson; and Savoir Suisse, which is an encyclopedic collection of small books providing the knowledge on all kinds of subjects. They have more than 1,500 titles in their catalog. As you can see, the editorial landscape of the French-speaking area from Switzerland is rich and varied, and you may find all contacts and, of course, names of other publishers on the website or writing to me at livresuisse.ch. Merci de votre attention et bonne journée à tous.
Hola, guten Tag, bonjour, welcome to our digital book days. My name is Miriam Lang and I'm the head of the International Department of the Swiss Bookseller and Publishers Association, SBVB. As you certainly know, Switzerland is a 4-language country, and so our publishing scene is also 4-lingual. And therefore there are 3 official booksellers and publishers associations. I think it's similar to Spain. For our colleagues from the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland, we have volunteered to form the Alesi Association. They unite 24 bookshops and 10 publishing houses. For German-speaking Switzerland, the Swiss Bookseller and Publishers Association, SBVB, is the largest association with 158 bookshops and 181 publishing houses. There are many reasons to be proud of the Swiss publishing scene. I would like to name a few. The diversity in the Swiss publishing scene is very great, and so the awareness of sustainability. The young Swiss Kampa Verlag has produced the first climate-neutral paperback series in the German-speaking world. And the innovative power of publishing houses is strong. 2 publishing houses, Ulfer und Ruch and Kampa Verlag, have already put their face in digital marketing before Corona and produced wonderful videos, whether as authors' interviews or narrative videos for each new literary title in the program. Many Swiss publishers promote young authors from Switzerland and abroad, and are not afraid to invest in translations. Thanks to the Swiss Arts Council for Helvetia, such translations are regularly supported, which is important in our 4-language country in order to overcome mental barriers in literature. Most Swiss publishers, whether large or small, in fields of literature, non-fiction and children's books are independent publishers. This allows for a wide range of published authors, books and topics. two internationally famous and award-winning Swiss illustrators, has received the Hans Christian Andersen Award. In 1966, the first award in the field went to Alois Garicet, and in 2020 to the illustrator Albertine. And in 2008, the author Jörg Schubiger received the award. With the Swiss Guest of Honor appearance in Bologna 2019, we have also shown the world that young illustrators are remarkable and internationally recognized. Since then, over 20 young illustrators have signed their first contracts, and this across national borders from Sweden to Mexico. As you can imagine, it's impossible for most Swiss publishers to make a living from sales in Switzerland alone, unless they clearly focus only on Swiss topics or a special niche. Most publishers generate a large part of their sales, sometimes up to 90% in Germany, France, and Italy. Having other sales opportunities in addition to your own country with your neighbors is an advantage. But a clear disadvantage is that the surrounding countries are much more price sensitive and therefore we earn less abroad, and at the same time pay salaries and costs in Switzerland. To run a publishing house in Switzerland is often a luxury. And that's why we are very proud and happy that we have succeeded in establishing a federal publishing house founding program. It was first granted for the years 2016 to 2020. In the new subsidy period 21 to 24, the Federal Office of Culture will again support 94 publishing houses with a total of 7.5 million Swiss francs. As already mentioned, the diversity in the Swiss publishing scene is very great. It is therefore difficult to say that a certain number of literary publishers or children's books publishers exist in Switzerland. Many publishers cover several sectors. Therefore, I will now show you some names and not numbers. The names are given alphabetically as example and should not be considered complete. For non-fiction, we cover topics such as current history, biographies, essays, self-help, cookbooks, philosophy, and others. In the area of children's books, I would like to name the following publishers. Most of the publishers listed are active in several sectors. Furthermore, I have tried to give you the names of publishers that are interesting for you from a right point of view. If you are interested in the names of the publishers, categories, websites, and other information, you are welcome to contact me. Thank you very much for your attention and adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
So, hello also from my side. My name is Rainer Gehrig. I'm the head of the literature division of the Foundation Pro Helvetia. So, just to start my presentation, I actually would lose 2-3 minutes just on who is Pro Helvetia for those who don't know what we do and who we are. So, Pro Helvetia is a foundation with a legal mandate from the government. And our mandate is in Switzerland supporting creation, exchange, and promotion of arts, supporting emerging artists, stimulating culture, and the cultural outreach within Switzerland. Miriam, she mentioned before already the exchange and translation between languages in Switzerland, from one official language to the other one. Abroad, our legal mandate is the dissemination and the promotion of art from Switzerland. Also Swiss participation For example, if there is a guest of honor on a book fair, we also do international cultural exchange, or we support international cultural exchange, and we support new networks. And sometimes we have some special regions we focus on, or markets, and markets. The main criteria for support from Pro Helvetia is the high artistic and professional quality. We only support projects that are clearly connected to Switzerland. We support projects and artists that are from nationwide importance. We support only projects with a publicity accessibility, and we support projects with a adequate co-financing. So we don't do projects where we actually finance the whole projects. Now, I want to talk about translations and translators and the support we do for them. First of all, our supports, they just go towards to translators. I will first talk about that, and then a bit about upcoming translators, and then I will talk a bit longer also about what we do for publishing houses. So translators, they can apply for grants for translation of international fiction. We support sample translations of Swiss literature. This is also something publishing houses can apply for. So just to make little sample translations, if you want to present a book to another publishing house, or translators, they do them, and they are like agents. They try to present books to publishers. And translators, they can also apply for residencies. We have different residencies with partners. For example, the very important translation house Loren. But we also work with international houses like Strahlen, or with the College International de Traducteurs Littéraires in Arles. For us, important is that the work in translation must be a contemporary Swiss author, of course. We also have programs for emerging translators. There we work with, we in cooperation with the two big recognized institutions in Switzerland, but also with institutions abroad. So we have mentoring programs. We participate in this Georg Arthur Goldschmidt program, which is a program for young translators between German and French. And yes, we also co-financing different trainings and further educations together with the Association of Authors and Translators from Switzerland, which here is mentioned as ADS, the Translators House Loren, the Centre de Traduction Littéraire in Lausanne, or in Berlin, the Literarische Kolloquium Berlin. Now, important for all the publishers that are listening, at the request of Swiss or international publishers, Pro Helvetia, we support the translation of contemporary fiction by Swiss authors. We support literature from children and young adults by Swiss authors, and Swiss plays. What is important to know, we support the fee for the translation, and we cover the whole expenses you have for the translation. A main criteria for support is the contemporary literature with Swiss authorship. We also check if the publishing houses is professional, if the structures are professional. We look at the quality of a translation we receive, a sample translation. And for us, it's also important that the translator already has a literary translation in this language combination the translation house is applying for. Once a book is translated, we also have a support for institutions. So institutions that do readings afterwards with the authors and the translators of the translated book. So if there are events, we support these events with the fee. The translator participate the fee and the travel expenses. We also support networking in the field of translation. So we support events that focus on literary translation. We are also part of the Southeastern Europe network Traduki. Maybe some of you might know. We organize publisher trips to Switzerland or invitation to literary, to important literary event makers to Switzerland. And we also advise international publishers who are interested in buying translation licenses for Swiss books. Therefore, we have also a web page. It's called Translate Swiss Books. You can see the address in the presentation. Maybe you have the time to check it out afterwards. It's a web page with where we present books originally in all languages, but we have like short descriptions of the books in English and all the important things you have to know about the book. We have some biographies of the authors, where you can buy the licenses, and so on. And there's also one very short description of our funding we do concerning translation. So once you want to submit an application, we have this portal, this website. It's called My Pro Helvetia, where you can apply for support. The application must contain the number of characters of the edited translation manuscript, an excerpt of the translation, so we can also have external advice on the quality of the translation. We want an electronic version of the original text, the CV and the biography of the translator. You have to also we have to get the information on the size of the print run, the license agreement, and the translation contract. I'm not working alone in the literature department. My colleagues, they're a bit split up concerning the languages. There is Eva Stensrud, my colleague, who's in charge of the German-Swiss literature, Aurelia Maillard-Despont, who's in charge of the French-Swiss literature, and Anna Gysi for the Italian-Swiss literature. So this was my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I hand over to Louise Münzer.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. My name is Louise Münzer. I'm the Rights and Licensing Manager at Nord-Süd Publishing House, Swiss children's book publisher. We are celebrating 60 years, our 60th anniversary this year. So we are celebrating all year long, even though, thanks to the pandemic, not quite as in person as we have wished for at fairs, etc. We are a very international publisher. We have an imprint in the US. We sign artists from all over the world, and we are situated in Switzerland in the heart of Europe. We are focusing on picture books, classics, and fairy tales with around 35 titles per year for children ages 2 to 8. Most of those are our own creations, but we do buy from time to time to round out our program. Actually, one of our editors is in Madrid at this moment as we speak. She just sent a picture. So we have the utmost demands on ourselves and our titles in terms of content and artistic quality. Some of our characters have been with us for years and are widely known, such as the Rainbow Fish, which is being published in Spanish and Catalan with Penguin Random House Spain. And the Little Polar Bear, I think 8 titles in paperback are currently with Editorial Milenio. I'm sorry, my pronunciation in Spanish is really bad. In most recent years, we have gotten quite a lot of international attention for the Mouse Adventures by Torben Kuhlmann, which are being published by Editorial Juventud in Spanish and Catalan at the same time. But back to Spain and licensing. Here at Nord-Süd, in terms of rights sales, and I can only speak for rights sales as I don't do the buy-in, we work both in licensing and co-editions, and we work a lot with exclusive agents for the Spanish market, that is Sandra Rodericks from Ute Körner Agency. Spain for us is a very diverse market with several languages and a sophisticated cultural background. As has been said before, it is a bit similar to Switzerland in terms of language and cultural diversity, if I may say so, not being Swiss myself. Spanish as the main language is, of course, for rights seller very interesting, not just for Spain, but also for South America, for the South American market and for the US. We do try to split Spanish rights for Spain and the Americas, but there are exceptions, always considering or depending on the distributional infrastructure the publisher has in both territories. But we do want to focus on Spain today. So first of all, yes, as you've already heard, we do sell in Spain. Makes me personally very happy, even though my Spanish is basic at best. In the last 3 to 4 years, we have seen more demand for simultaneous license deals in several languages. Obviously, as has been said before, you have Spanish, Catalan, Basque, and Galician. So one of our titles, A Little Nightcat by Sonja Danowski, has been acquired by Editorial Lata de Sal for 3 of those languages at the same time. The Rainbow Fish is also available in Basque and Galician and Portuguese with Calandraca. So we also had interesting feedback that for our Mouse Adventures, the Catalan edition actually takes the lead in terms of sales in comparison with the Spanish edition. So it's an interesting fact to know. Even the publisher couldn't explain to us why that is. Maybe some of you know. Before the pandemic hit, we have closed license deals in recent years with smaller publishing houses that are looking, that are told us they're looking for artistically more sophisticated books. For us, these were mostly deals for our classic titles with timeless illustrations, such as The Kind-Hearted Monster by Max Feldhuis, or Pitchy, which is a Swiss classic by Hans Fischer, or 6 Men by David McKee. Nevertheless, we have also closed deals for frontlist titles, but we do see, especially when we try to deal with bigger houses, that they are only looking for the absolute bestsellers. And as I have already told you, Rainbow Fish, Little Polar Bear, and the Torben Kuhlmann Adventures are already sold in the Spanish market. I am regularly meeting Spanish publishers during the book fairs or digital more recently, and what I've mostly heard was that publishers were looking for something sophisticated, more edgy, not quite so sweet. I mean, with picture books, it is rather efficient. Either a style is interesting for market or it's not. Most publishers can tell straight away if a book fits or if it doesn't. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Even though we have sales, the Spanish book market, and I'm again not talking about the Americas, but more focusing on Spain, is not quite so easy for us. It's an interesting market. I mean, just looking at the number of speakers all around the world. The publishers are very selective, as are we all. And either, as I said, the book is a bestseller or it has a certain edge to it. We would, of course, love to expand our network. I was a guest at the Guadalajara Book Fair in 2016 and got some great contacts, but would very much like to intensify this communication and pinpoint better what we can offer from our program. I had planned to visit Spain in 2020 to visit publishers and bookstores to get a better feel, but of course, thanks to the pandemic, that was cancelled. So basically, we are trying to figure out what will travel in Spain, as I think every rights seller is doing the same. because sometimes it is a hard, tough nut to crack. And we would be very interested to have this market and audience open up even a bit more to us. I mean, hearing that German is the third most translated language in your market gives us hope that we could even do better. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions or would like to learn more about our titles, just let me know. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So thank you so much to all the speakers for your valuable inputs and all the facts and information that you shared. For me, it has been an inspiring session. I don't know if there have any, if there's been any questions. If there are any questions, please pass them on to me. And again, I wanted to, if there's no question coming up, I wanted to remind everybody who's interested in the one-to-one meetings to please send an email to promotion@sbbb.ch. Maybe Miriam, you can also write that into the chat, the email for the one-to-one meetings between Swiss and Spanish publishers. Anybody who is a publisher from either of those countries and interested in meeting me, please write an email. We already have quite a number of applications, so maybe there's somebody who hasn't reacted yet. And I think that's all then from our side. Again, thank you very much to all the speakers, and I hope this has been insightful for you, for the public. Have a beautiful afternoon and evening, and hopefully very fruitful meetings for those who are participating.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.